Hi guys, my name is Damola Akala. In today's video, we're going to be talking about introduction to CSS and how you can bring your web page to life using CSS by adding different kinds of colors, background colors, styling it using margins, padding, and borders. Alright guys, let's get started. Ever wondered what goes on behind the website you visit every day? Unlock the secret of web development and create your own stunning site from scratch. From the basics of HTML to the styling power of CSS and the dynamic magic of JavaScript. Join me, Damola Akala, on the thrilling journey into the world of web development. Subscribe now and start your adventure today. Subscribe now. What do we mean by CSS? CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. What do we use CSS to do? It is a style sheet language used to describe the presentation of a document, written either in HTML or XML. CSS also allows you to control the appearance of web pages by defining how elements should be styled, including their layouts, the colors, the fonts, and much more. There are different types of CSS. Let's start with there are different types of CSS. We have about 3 different types of CSS. Let's start with the inline styles. I'm going to create a new file and name it simple page.html. Give it a title of introduction to CSS. Create a paragraph with a p tag and write something like this. This is a paragraph. Inline styles. The first type of CSS is inline styles. Save this and let's very good. This is what we have on our browser. This is a paragraph with inline style and inline style to this paragraph. All we need to do is let's take for instance, we want to give it a color blue. We start with the style attributes and give it color blue. Save this, load the page. Voila, this is what we have. It has changed to color blue. Let's try and increase the font size. To do that, we'll end the first value with a semicolon. Start by adding a font size. Let's give it something like 30 pixels. Reload the page. You can see it has become bigger, much more bigger. Okay, that's all about inline styles. It's just about applying your CSS styles directly to an element using the style attribute, the style attributes that we have here. You can go ahead and add color, font size, and the likes. The other one we're going to be looking at is the internal style sheet. Internal style sheet are styles embedded within the HTML document itself. What do I mean by that? They are defined using the style tag within the head section of the HTML page. So this is the head section of our HTML page. All we need to do is to put in the style tag here. Right now, I'm trying to tell you about internal style sheets. Okay, internal style sheets apply styles to the entire document and are useful when you want to apply styles to a single HTML page. For instance, you are working on only a particular HTML page. This is more useful when you are working on a single HTML page. But for inline styles, it is more useful when you're trying to write a little bit of CSS code to a particular element, just like we have here the color and the font size. But if it is getting much longer, then it is advisable you use the internal style sheet or the external style sheet. Let's talk more about the internal style sheet. Alright, so I'm going to start by creating another p tag and write this is a paragraph with internal styles. To style this, let's give it a class internal. Save this and reload the page. Nothing happens. This is the paragraph with internal styles. Let's start by styling our internal paragraph. To do that, we do dots internal, open the curly braces and close it, and go ahead to give it a color of, let's say, red, and save this, reload the page. When you reload the page, you can see that the second paragraph has changed to a color red, but the font size looks smaller. You can decide to increase the font size of this as well by giving it a font size, let's say 50 pixel. Save this and reload the page. Good. This paragraph make use of 30 pixel, while the second paragraph was 50 pixel for the font size. That is why it is much more bigger than the first paragraph. Now let's move to the last type of CSS we have. External style sheet are CSS styles that are defined in separate external files with this .css extension. What do I mean by that? Let's create another file known as external. You can decide to name yours anything. External.css. Remember, it must have an extension of .css. Save this. Right, so one good thing about external style sheet is that it promotes reusability and easier maintenance of styles. You can easily maintain your styles, your CSS styles. Now let's start by linking this external CSS. Okay, before that, let's create another paragraph and name it P. Give it a class of external. This is a paragraph with external styles. Save this. Let's reload the page. Nothing happened. Okay. We come here and give it a style external. Let's give it a color red or green rather, with a font size of, let's say, 24 pixel. Save this, reload the page. Nothing happens. Why? Because we are yet to link our external file to the HTML file. External CSS file to the HTML file. We can do that by, let's do that right now. Link in the head section. Equals to style sheets. We're trying to tell the file that we're trying to tell the document that this particular file is a style sheet, the CSS style sheet, and then href. The name of our external CSS is external.css, so I'm going to add that and close. By the time I save this, our external.css changes should have taken effect. You can see this. We now have a color green paragraph with a font size. The font size has increased to 24 pixel, different from the normal font size we had earlier. So basically, those are different types of CSS and how you can apply CSS to your files, to your HTML file. You can decide to go ahead to use the inline styles, the internal styles, or the external CSS. Okay, let's talk about margin, borders, and paddings. These are the three key components of the box model: margin, borders, and paddings. What are the difference between these key things here? Margins define the space between an element border and other elements of the page. They create space. Basically, they create space around the element. Okay. What do we mean by they create space around the element? Let's go ahead and create something basic. I'll go ahead and create a div tag. In this div tag, I'm going to write something like this: is a box. Let's give this div a class box. This time around, we'll be styling our CSS using the external CSS. So I'll come here, move down a bit, and start with dot box. Give it a background color. Let's give it a weight. Since we are creating a box, a weight with 200 pixel. Also an height of 200 pixel with a background color of purple. Save this and let's see what happens. This is a box. You can see the box we have currently. It has a background color of purple. The width is 200 pixel and the height of 200 pixel. Now, talking about margin, what is margin? A space that you create around the elements. So let's go ahead and give this box a margin 100 pixel. That's what happens below the page. You can see that we now have a space around this element. That is what margin does for you. It helps you to create spaces around the elements. Okay, so let's move to padding. Yeah, let's talk about padding. Padding, let's give it a padding of 100 pixel. Padding, the difference between margin and padding is that margin creates space around the element, outside of the element, while padding gives you space within the element. It will write space within the element. Okay, so save this, reload the page. You can see that this is a box now has a space around it. So it gives this is a box a space within the element. Why for margin it applies outside the element. That's the difference between padding and margin. Also, you can decide to use, I'm going to comment this out, margin top 100 pixel, margin left 100 pixel, margin bottom 100 pixel, and margin right 100 pixel. So the difference between the line 10 and what we have currently from 11 to 14 is that this is the shorter way of writing your margin. This margin 100 pixel means that it will apply to the top, left, bottom, and right. But if you try to write it margin top, margin left, margin bottom, margin right, it will make your code longer. So you can decide to use the shorter version, or you can decide to write it one after the other. Save this, and you see that the same thing applies to what we had before. Can you see that? Let's try and change the margin top to maybe 10 pixel. Save this. You can see this. It has become smaller. The margin has become smaller. Same thing applies to the padding. I'm going to duplicate this and give it to padding. Save it. And the same thing applies to the padding as well. So you can decide to write it in a shorter form or decide to like use it top, left, bottom, right. One of that shorter way you can do it is like this. Give it a padding. Let's say top, and if the same, if you have the same value for the top and bottom, then you can do it this way. Let's say 20 pixel, and then left and right would be 50 pixel. This is another way of writing it. Save this, reload the page. You can see the same value applies to this left and right as well. Same thing for your margin. Let's say 100 pixel is for the top and bottom, then 200 pixel is for the left and right. Comment this out, save this, and reload the page. You can see what we have currently for the margin. Okay, margin rather, not padding. So we have a margin of 100 pixel top and bottom, 200 pixel left and right. Looking at this, the space here is more bigger than the one at the top. Yeah, so that's the difference between padding and margin. Now let's move to border. Let's try and add a border around this box. Borders can have different styles, the width, the colors. Alright, so let's start by applying a border, 10 pixels solid. Give it a width of solid and then black. You can see this is a border. This is an example of a border. It surrounds the element. Line 24 is the shorter version of writing it. Now let's write it one after the other by doing something like this. Border width 10 pixel, border style solid, and border color black. Save it. You can see it's still the same thing. So this is the shorter way of writing it. The line 24 is the shorter way of writing it, but if you feel like writing it line by line, this is another way of writing it. So that's all about margin, padding, and border. That's all for today's class. Keep experimenting, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to my YouTube channel to get more beginner friendly videos. Bye guys, bye. Ever wondered what goes on behind the website you visit every day? Unlock the secret of web development and create your own stunning site from scratch. From the basics of HTML to the styling power of CSS and the dynamic magic of JavaScript. Join me, Daniela Kala, on the thrilling journey into the world of web development. Subscribe now and start your adventure today. Subscribe now.